In this video, we will factor by the method of completing the square for this problem right here. But before we even attempt to solve this problem, let's look at the rule. So, method of completing the square. Method of completing the square is making your own perfect square trinomial. And we use this method to solve quadratic equations in the form of x squared plus bx plus c, where c is not a perfect square. So as an example, x squared plus 6x plus 9 is a perfect square, and the answer would be parentheses x plus 3 squared. Because if we did x plus 3 times x plus 3, we would get this. However, x squared plus 6x plus 6 is not a perfect square. Had this 6 been a 9, it would be a perfect square. So there's a way to make something like this into a perfect square. So to complete the square for x squared plus bx, we add b divided by 2 and we square it. So as an example, x squared plus bx plus, if we had b divided by 2 squared, we would have a perfect square. And we would get x plus b divided by 2 squared. So as an example, this right here can be converted into this. So now let's actually solve a problem. So we'll solve this problem right here. So we want to solve the equation for x. And it says, hint, use method for completing the square. And so the first thing we need to do to even solve using the method of completing the square is divide everything by 5. Because if we were to use method of completing the square, this term right here has to be a 1. It has to be x squared. We can't have a 5x squared. That's why we divided everything by 5. So we would get x squared plus 7 over 5x minus 2 over 5 is equal to 0. And now the next step is to bring this negative 2/5 to the product side. Bring it over here. So this is what we get. And now is the important step. We take this b term right here and we divide by 2. So we have 7/5 x. Whatever this number here is, we divide by 2 and then we square it. And we put it in here and we also put it here. So it's equivalent. I can add something here, but I have to add something also here. And so now we would get x squared plus 7 over 5x plus, so 7/5 divided by 2 would be 7 over 10, and we're squaring it. So 7 over 10 squared is equal to 2/5 plus 7 over 10 squared. Now this is a trick we use. By doing this, we can actually factor this. And this would get x plus 7 over 10 squared. And if you want, you could try to expand this. And when you expand it, you would get this. And so this is going to equal 2/5 plus, so 7/10 squared would be 49 over 100. Next, we want to get a common denominator for this. And the common denominator would be 100. So instead of saying 2/5, we could say 40 over 100. So 40 over 100 plus 49 over 100 would be 89 over 100. And now the next step is to take the square root of both sides. So we would get x plus 7 over 10 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 89 over 100. And so we can say that x is equal to negative 7 over 10. We put it over here, plus or minus the square root of 89 divided by 10, because the square root of 100 is 10, and the square root of 89, we don't know. It's not a whole number. And so this right here would be the final answer. So there's two answers. X is equal to negative 7 over 10 plus the square root of 89 over 10, or x is equal to negative 7 over 10 minus the square root of 89 divided by 10. And this would be the final answer. And just to recap to the formula we had, so you can pause the video here and maybe review this. And that's all we need to do to solve using the method of completing the square.